Welcome to the Chef's Kitchen. I'm your host, Nicole Gaffney, and joining me in the kitchen today is Chef Matt Harper of Kensington Quarters.
Thank you for having me.
Thanks for being here today. So we've got some cool ingredients on the table right now, especially this giant hunk of meat. So tell me what we're making today.
So we're making a pan-roasted pork chop with a apple and Tardivo salad, and then some roasted chestnut mushrooms.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Let's get started.
Nice. Yeah, so we'll start with the pork loin. I brought in basically a whole bone-in pork loin like we use at the restaurant.
Yeah.
We get in really high quality, like pasture-raised pork at the
beautiful.
restaurant. And ideally, we like to let it hang for a little bit.
Okay.
Dry age just slightly.
Nice.
So you have kind of that flavor concentration, and all of the porkiness kind of really comes through.
Very cool. You brought some tools with you, I see.
Just a little couple things. Just to help me cut off a pork chop. So you can see like the spine is still on. I mean, you can see on the other side there's the ribs.
Nice.
So whenever we cut pork chops at the restaurant, we'll just, using the bone saw, saw through the bones very gently and then slice through to get our nice pork chop.
Awesome. So you do all this all with like power tools? You do this all by hand?
Do have some power tools at the restaurant, but
Okay.
most of the butchery we do at the restaurant is done by hand.
Very cool. So tell me a little bit more about the restaurant. I know you also offer butchering classes, and you do a lot of in-house butchering, which I think is so cool.
Yeah, we do offer classes. We offer butcher classes, pasta classes, and it's a really fun way to just kind of to see how a restaurant gets in a whole animal and processes it. So it's a really fun, really great learning experience.
Yeah, I think that's amazing.
Yeah, and we're located in Fishtown, which is a really great neighborhood.
Right on Frankfurt Ave. Yeah, it's such a cool spot.
There's tons of great bars, tons of great restaurants.
Really up-and-coming area.
Yeah, there's so many new places opening up all the time.
All right, so let's get into this.
Yeah,
show me how to whack this thing up.
So yeah, you can see you really want to follow in between the ribs.
Okay.
So we'll start about right here.
Wow.
And then that's really all we need to cut through with this.
All right, so it didn't look like you needed that much muscle to do that.
No,
Anybody
not
could
a
kind of handle
ton.
that.
Yeah. And then from here,
oh, beautiful. Look at that meat.
you see that nice marbling,
Yeah.
nice dark flesh. You can tell that this is a really healthy animal that lived a really good life. The darker meat means that it was out in the field foraging for stuff, running around, so you get that intermuscular blood flowing.
So much more flavor, so much better for the environment, so much better for you too.
Yes.
Now, where do you get a lot of your meat from?
So we get most of our pork from a farm called Country Time Farms.
Okay, is that local?
It is. It's in Berks County.
Perfect.
Our farmer, his name is Paul, and he's been doing this for a very long time, really good at what he does.
It's always good to know your farmer's name.
Yes, and he's all the farmers we use. We have a handful of different farmers.
Okay.
Most everything I brought today is from a local farm in and around the Philadelphia area.
And you serve whole pig, correct?
We do whole roasted pig every once in a while, but mostly we will get in a whole pig and then break it down and utilize each of the different components.
Nose to tail?
Yeah, 4 different dishes. But you can kind of see this is what we're going to be working with. Really great marbling.
Yeah, and I was just going to ask if you would leave the skin on.
We will not for this application. If we were going to do a roast where we were like cooking in the oven, then it's good because you're going to get that skin nice and crispy.
Yeah.
But cooking in the pan, you're not going to be able to really get it
It just
that
stays
far.
tough. Now, would you utilize that skin and make cracklins or something
Yes,
like that?
we make cracklins or chicharrones, or
so good.
we also make a sausage with skin in it where we
really?
boil it and then grind it in with the meat.
Interesting.
It's an Italian style sausage called cotechino, and it's really, really tasty.
Nice. That adds like a little bit of texture, I bet.
Yes, you get a nice kind of like gelatinous, collagen-filled snap.
I see you're being very aggressive with the salt, which I appreciate.
Very aggressive. All of the fat and stuff is going to really soak up a lot of it.
And that's a thick chop.
It is a thick chop, so you want to make sure this is nicely seasoned. And we'll finish it with a little like sea salt, but you want to make sure that you get a decent amount of salt to start.
We'll return with more from the Chef's Kitchen. We're back with more from the Chef's Kitchen.
Any pepper?
I typically don't like it just because I'm gonna cook it in the cast iron pan for an extended period of time.
Okay.
At the restaurant, most of the time we cook everything over charcoal and wood grill.
Love that.
So
Brings such nice flavor.
Yeah, you get so much smokiness from it. So in those cases, sometimes we'll add pepper. I find it's not as harsh on the pepper as the cast iron pan is. It can get like a little bit too hot.
Like a burnt taste almost.
Yeah, a little too burnt.
I appreciate that. You're really thinking things through.
Yeah, so when we're not using, like you could totally, if you were making this at home, use a backyard barbecue grill and it would turn out great. But if you were looking to do something more inside, I think the cast iron pan is most definitely the way to go. All right, so since we did hang it for a little bit, along the edges there may be a little bit of dried skin or dried flesh. So we just want to peel that off and make sure that there's no like chewy pieces.
So we put this in the cast iron skillet. Do we need to let it rest or do anything before it goes in?
No, I think as long as you let the salt kind of penetrate a little bit before you throw it in, so that way you know the salt's doing its thing.
Perfect.
And we can get this in.
How hot do you want the pan to be? Really hot or sort of medium?
No, not really hot, because you're looking for a nice, slow, consistent caramelization across it.
Okay, because it is so thick.
Yeah, I would say definitely like a medium, pretty standard medium heat.
Okay, so it's kind of low and slow.
Yeah, and as you add it in, applying pressure to it, so you make sure that there's an even. Yeah, so now that the pork chop's in, we didn't add any oil to the pan
Yeah,
or
I
anything.
noticed that.
Because all of the residual fat from the pork chops is going to kind of release out into the pan.
There's quite a bit.
Yeah, and that's going to be your cooking fat.
Right, right. And I guess with a well-seasoned cast iron pan, you don't really
have to worry about it sticking. Yeah.
Now let's talk about these mushrooms because they're gorgeous.
Yes,
what are these?
These are a variety called chestnut mushrooms.
I've never seen these before.
They're super delicious. They're grown actually in Philadelphia by this company called Micropolitan Mushrooms. We buy so many different kinds of mushrooms from them, but these in particular are one of my favorites. They're super, like the name says, they not only have that chestnut color, but they have like a nuttiness.
Really? That's so
reminiscent
cool.
of chestnuts as well.
I love their look too. They have like these little bumps on them.
All right, so now that the pork chop's been in the pan for a little bit, using a little spatula, you just want to check and see how it's going, see how fast it's caramelizing. And you can see we're getting some decent caramelization already. And I like to move the pork chop around in the pan. Just because cast iron holds its heat pretty well.
Right.
But you want to always make sure that you're not just keeping the pork chop in one spot.
Looking for those hot spots.
Yeah.
Almost like on a grill.
Exactly. So we're about halfway done on this side. And then as this pork chop is cooking, we can go into the salad that we're going to be serving with it. We have some beautiful Honeycrisp apples.
My favorite kind of apple.
Yeah, these are delicious. These are from Three Springs Farms.
Nice.
In Gap, PA. And they're super, super tasty. They have so many different varieties of apples. So if you want to help me with this, what we're going to do is we're going to basically make some nice juliennes. So you want to slice the apple super thin like this. And then just coming back by and creating some nice matchsticks.
You're so precise. That's like perfectly straight lines. I'm very impressed. When I do that at home, I use a mandolin to make it way easier.
Mandolin is also a great way. But with apples, they're nice and soft, so it's pretty easy to do.
Yeah, that's true.
So if you just want to do the same with the rest of the apple.
Okay. And put them into the bowl?
Yes, ma'am. With the apple salad, we're going to be dressing it with some sorghum molasses vinegar and a little bit of olive oil. This vinegar is really, really nice.
Yeah, tell me about sorghum molasses vinegar.
It's from a local company called Keepwell Vinegars.
Really?
They source all of their ingredients for the vinegars from the Mid-Atlantic region, from local farms, which kind of follows the same ideals that we have at the restaurant. So you can see as the pork chops, this is getting really close. You want that nice, slow caramelization, so you build up tons and tons of flavor.
Right. And then you're cooking the inside nice and gently too.
Yes, and the bone-on is gonna help as well, keeping
Yeah.
the inside nice and juicy.
We'll return with more from the Chef's Kitchen. We're back with more from the Chef's Kitchen.
So tell me about the menu at your restaurant, because it's obviously very meat-centric, but it's not all meat.
No, not at all. So even though we do source really, really nice meat, we source really, really nice vegetables too.
Yes.
And we like to highlight those just as much as we highlight the meat. Both with the apples, any sort of fruits, but also with vegetables. I brought in some really, really fun chicory called Tardivo.
Yeah, I'm looking at this. It's so cool looking.
It's the process for growing this is insane.
Really?
So our local farm called Urban Roots grows it for us, and they basically plant it in the summertime. It grows nice and big, and you don't harvest any of the leaves. You're basically only harvesting the root after a few frosts. So you want the frost to kind of like bring out all the natural sugars in the plant, and then you're harvesting the root, throwing it in the greenhouse under like complete blackout circumstances, and adding in warm water into the bus tubs. And what that does is it like forces the heart to kind of to grow in darkness, so you get a really nice, sweet, really juicy product. So if you want to,
who came up with that?
The Italians.
Yeah, of course.
They're really good at what they do. So if you just want to cut the bottom of a few of these off, you can see they're really tight knit.
Wow, look at that.
Really beautiful little
So symmetrical,
clusters.
yeah. I want to taste a piece, because you said it's sweet.
I mean, it's a chicory, but
Well,
it's going to have bitterness.
These can be so bitter sometimes. Yeah, like unbearably bitter, especially when they're grown in warm weather.
But these are just amazing. If you just want to throw a few more of the Tardivo in there.
Sure.
And as you can see, I flipped over the pork chop now.
Oh, cool.
I'm cooking along the same process as we did on the other side.
Okay.
So we're just gonna let the pork chop cook for another few minutes, and at that point we're gonna add in a little bit of butter. We're gonna add in some really wonderful winter savory.
This is savory.
Yes.
I thought this was rosemary.
It's
oh, wow.
very, very similar to rosemary, but it has like those thyme qualities as well.
Yeah, definitely.
So with this, you could just grab some of the sorghum vinegar.
Okay.
Splash in about a tablespoon into the apples and the Tardivo. What do you think?
Good. Wow, it's
good,
really
right?
complex. It has a lot going on.
It has a lot of acidity, but all of the caramelly, toasty notes.
Right, you get
sorghum.
nothing but acidity at first, but then when it kind of mellows on your palate, you get a lot more different flavors.
And then we can drizzle in a little bit of olive oil as well.
And I can tell that's a really nice olive oil just from the color of it. It's got a really nice green hue. So you cook all of the pork made to order in the restaurant like this?
Yes,
wow.
yes. Like I said, most of the time over the charcoal grill.
Yeah.
Charcoal and wood burning grill.
So it takes a little bit of time, I'm sure, to get those nice thick chops.
Yeah, and we do even larger chops sometimes. Sometimes we'll do a double chop,
wow.
which takes
a really long time.
Yeah, it takes like
you have to call that in ahead. Nice. And you guys have a really great beverage program too. Lots of really nice wines and cocktails.
We have a great natural wine program and some really, really cool craft cocktails that kind of change as the menu does seasonally and as products come in and out.
Right. Use a lot of local ingredients for the cocktails too, which is
not
cool.
only like spirits, but like ingredients for the
absolutely. Different shrubs and. I also noticed you guys do a lot of in-house charcuterie.
Yes, we make all our own charcuterie in the house, which is a great way to utilize all of the different components.
The odds and ends
of the pork that we get in. We like to use everything, like you said, nose to tail. Set that to the side and wait to plate it up.
Nice little wintry salad too.
And then the pork chop is getting pretty close.
Okay. Now, do you cook this all the way through, or you like to leave it about medium?
I like to leave it medium well-ish.
Okay.
As the pork chop is finishing up, we can start cutting some of these mushrooms that we'll be cooking in the same pan as the pork chop.
Great. And look at all the fat that's rendered too. That's crazy.
So you can see there's these nice tight little clusters, but towards the bottom of it you have a little bit of the growing material, what the mushrooms grew on. You want to just cut that off because that's going to be kind of tough.
Okay, so the stems are tender and everything.
Yeah, the stems are, yes, still pretty tender.
Cool.
You can see they as soon as you cut the bottom off, they kind of just
they're so
open
cute.
up.
I can't wait to try these.
We'll return with more from the Chef's Kitchen. We're back with more from the Chef's Kitchen.
I personally have just done this so much that I can just kind of give it a press and see where it's at. If you're not feeling that comfortable with it at home, you can always use a thermometer and looking for an internal temperature of 140 and 150.
Okay. And it'll continue to cook a little more.
It will, yeah.
Also.
And that's what we're going to do now. We're going to go ahead and pull this guy out, let him rest.
So these mushrooms go right into the pan.
These mushrooms go right in.
And you can see there's so much fond on the bottom of that pan.
And then as the mushrooms cook in here, they're going to release all of their moisture. All that fond's going to kind of come up. We want them to release their moisture, that moisture to evaporate, and then them start to crisp.
So you can really get them caramelized and browned. No other way to cook a mushroom, really.
No, not at all. And you don't want to overcrowd the pan.
Okay, that's a really good tip.
Yeah, as soon as you overcrowd the pan, the mushrooms are going to release too much moisture, and you're going to have a harder time getting them nice and crispy.
Right, basically steam at that point.
Yes.
And again, you're keeping the heat right around medium.
Yeah,
okay.
Basically the whole time. And then once you get them in, you want to season them with just a little bit of salt, and this is going to help them release their moisture as well.
Perfect. Savory. I mean, this is an herb you see so little.
Yes. This is kind of the first season I'm really working with it, and I just find myself using it for so many different things.
It's got a pretty universal flavor.
Yes, adding it into charcuterie or adding it on top of focaccia.
So you do a lot of house-made breads also?
Yes, we do a decent amount of house-made breads.
And pastas too.
We make all our own pastas in-house too. We kind of a from-scratch restaurant.
Right. Which
try
is
to do as much as possible.
Not an easy thing to pull off.
Yes.
And you guys seem to do it really, really well.
Thank you, I appreciate that. All right, so now we throw our savory in. Our mushrooms are getting nice and crispy. Beautiful. And then, so after we let our pork chop rest for a little bit, we're gonna go ahead and trim off the bone.
Okay. Do you serve it at the restaurant with the bone on the plate?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because, you know, some of us, not me, but some people like to, you know, get in there. Gnaw on the bone a little bit.
So you can see here that it's a nice...
Oh, it's perfect.
Nice cook.
Look how juicy that is, too.
Yeah, you still have a ton of natural juices.
That's exactly how I like it. Just like the teeniest little bit of pink in the middle.
And then,
amazing.
So with this, we're gonna glaze it with a little bit of molasses and miso glaze.
Oh wow!
On the plate. So we get miso from a company called White Rose Miso.
Okay.
This
Are they
was
local?
made with local as well. We get it from the same company that we get our vinegars from.
Very nice.
So once we have our pork chop cooked, transfer it onto the plate. Top it with just a little bit of the glaze.
I imagine that's got a strong flavor to it.
It does. You have like the bitter sweetness from the molasses. You have the super umami from the miso.
What kind of miso?
It is a sunchuck miso, so they use both barley and rice, inoculated with koji, and then ground sunchucks in there as well. So you have even more sweetness. And then we just cut it with a little bit of vinegar as well. This vinegar here. And you don't need a ton of this. This is just going to add a little bit of extra sweetness.
Nice.
And kind of bring the dish together.
Beautiful. Just a little shellac on the top.
Yeah, just a tiny shellac. And then whenever we do this on the grill, we like to kind of brush it a few times and let it caramelize a touch.
Oh, nice.
So if you want to, you can just build a little salad right beside the pork chop.
Sure.
And then we'll add on some of these mushrooms as well. But if you can't find chestnut mushrooms,
because
any mushroom
where can you
really kind of do with this.
Right.
There's a little clusters of beach mushrooms, which you can find in most Asian markets
Yeah,
or
those are
the
pretty
grocery
readily
stores.
available.
All right, and then we're just gonna add some of the mushrooms right on top of the pork chop. And that's really it.
Amazing. It's beautiful. This
Thank you.
looks amazing. I can't wait to try it.
Thank you, yes.
You'll have to join me. I don't like eating
I will.
alone. So cheers.
Cheers.
You can probably cut into this with a butter knife. It looks so tender.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
after
mean,
s-
you could
yeah, it
cut it with a
almost
fork.
fell apart.
Wow. The pork itself is so flavorful and so tender. It really makes such a big difference in just having a really nice cut of pork, a really nice piece of meat that's been raised well, dry aged, like you said. All of those little things make such a big difference.
Yeah, and then after you have all the great ingredients, it's just like not messing them up. Treating
Totally.
them with respect, and everything else after that just kind of falls in line.
That little bit of acid with the richness of the pork and all of that going on in the salad is just such a nice balance too.
Yeah,
It really
helps
cuts
cut
through.
Yeah, cuts through.
Exactly. And these chestnut mushrooms,
They're the best. They're my favorite.
they're
I can't
so
decide
good.
what the star of the show is.
It's amazing. It's such a well-composed dish. You knocked it out of the park.
Thank you so much.
Thanks for coming on the show today. It was so fun
It was
to
a pleasure.
cook with you. I want to come in and take one of your classes soon.
Please do.
I need to
Butcher
learn how
class
to
anytime.
Yeah, break down a whole pig. Come in.
It was a great time on the Chef's Kitchen. I really had a ton of fun, and I hope that you enjoyed everything that I made for you and you learned a thing or two.